Welcome into the Door Report. It is episode 214 on a Thursday night, April the 6th, 2023. We are powered by Alaco Fine Wood Floors, family owned and operated for more than 2 decades. Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you're interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill. Give them a call at 615-356-0303 or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. All right, gentlemen, we got a lot to get to here. We're going to be going probably once a week from here on out until down the stretch of baseball season leading up to the SEC tournament. We'll probably start doing a couple a week, but starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm here. We got Gordon Sargent at the Masters. We'll talk about that. Black and gold spring game on Saturday. Quentin Millora-Brown has entered the transfer portal. We're going to talk about that. Maybe the most heated discussion point today. And bear with me, I've got a nasty cough. Malik Dia to Belmont, Jordan Wright to LSU. So we got, guys, it's portal season. It is portal season. We're talking about the guys leaving, and we got to talk about who the hell's coming in for Vanderbilt. Another sweep for the VandyBoys, business as usual. They're actually playing Missouri game 1 right now as we speak. Our eyes are going to be glued to TV. So we got to focus in here, get dialed for this episode. We'll talk about the rest of this series. You'll be hearing this on Friday morning with this game already over, so that'll be the funny part of this. But, guys, how we doing? We got a lot to get to. Will, it's weird when football's over, basketball's over, and the dust sort of settles, and we're in that, like, right in the middle of baseball where we're just waiting. We're waiting on transfer portal news.
Yeah, this is always the fun time of the year for this podcast. This is the 3rd time that we've gone through this odd time of the year where we've covered baseball. I mean, we've kept up and kept people informed with what's going on with the VandyBoys, but it changes from casually covering Vanderbilt baseball to that is the main focus of this podcast, and we hit the ground running. Right now, Trevor's not even looking at me or you. He's got his eyes just glued on Vanderbilt, Missouri game 1.
I am listening.
But it will be nice to shift our focus to a program under Tim Corbin that only experienced 2 losses in the entire month of March. I mean, this team is rolling. And so it's always nice this time of year to go away from basketball and football and have our eyes set on this Vanderbilt program and the success that they have seen early in SEC play, starting out 9-0. I'm sure we'll get to this more and more, and I'm curious to hear your guys' takes on what this team is doing and what they'll continue to do as I continue to watch more and more and continue to get more into this Vanderbilt baseball season. So, Trevor, I know you were very engaged in the sweep over Georgia this past weekend. What was the key to Vanderbilt's victory over Georgia this weekend?
I'm sorry, I just heard them screaming, and I thought we hit a dong, but it just we struck out. So yeah,
is that your term for home runs? Dong, door dong.
Dong, yeah, that's like,
okay.
Dude. Somebody,
I just had to say that.
That's how you can. That's how you know Trevor played baseball right there.
That's like, people have like asked me before, and they're like, "Yo, is this like are you making a joke?" And I'm like, "No, like it's just."
There's like, different terms. You got dong, you got tater,
dong, tater. If you're a Reds fans call home run funk blasts. So
that's
dinger.
Weird.
I mean, there's an entire Twitter page called Would It Dong, to where it takes home runs hit in other ballparks. And it's like, in how many major league ballparks would this also be a home run? So it is just a baseball term. I mean,
you were there.
Sort of go into before we talk about the Georgia series. Basketball makes me very sad again. Basketball at one point made me very happy. We're to the point back to where Vanderbilt basketball makes me super sad again. So we will talk about it more. My sweet, sweet prince, my engineering king, Quentin Millora-Brown, has left the Vanderbilt Commodores. That one hurt. I'm not gonna lie, boys. That one hurt.
That one hurt.
But as for baseball, it was a blustery win. It was a blustery weekend for the VandyBoys. Really, it was actually kind of only Saturday. That was freaking crazy. Hats were blowing everywhere. Like during BP, dudes' hats were going everywhere. Georgia's pitcher's hat like flew off his head in the middle of play. But I mean, the key to this past weekend was the key that's been I'm not going to say all season, but really since the start of SEC play, is Vanderbilt has had dominant pitching and the bats have been awesome. Saturday they let up more runs than they had previously. Could that be there? I'm sure there were some pitches that Vanderbilt threw that they would like to take back, but a lot of that too, especially that grand slam, and the initial home run that Georgia hit. I mean, like if you weren't at the ball game, I don't know how much they spoke about it on the broadcast, but the wind literally was blowing like straight out to center field. Like it was flying to center field. Like the flags were jutting straight back. So a lot of those balls that typically wouldn't be home runs were home runs. I think I'm probably going to chalk up that grand slam that was given up in the middle of the ball game that I think that tied, right?
That tied it at
ball game.
That tied it at 8, but then Vanderbilt ends up doubling that total and winning 16-8.
Yes.
So that just tells you about the like, okay, you tied the game. Let's go double your score now and beat you 16-8. It's like this team just has that it factor that we haven't really seen in a really 2 to 3 years. I mean, you saw it a little bit in 2021 where, you know, that team of course went on to play Mississippi State in the finals, but even then, you know, you just didn't see the plate discipline and the aggressiveness that you're used to seeing on a Vanderbilt baseball team. Now I feel like we're there.
Yeah, I don't think anybody talks about. I've seen some people like sort of like reference it, but I mean, and people Vanderbilt for the longest time like literally had the term the Vanderbunt because Tim Corbin historically has done a lot of small ball. And I mean, he's even talked about it in post-game pressers or just press conferences in general. I think somebody asked him like, what has changed to your guys' hitting approach? And he's like, we're just really aggressive early in the count. He's like, that's really all it is. He's like, you're not sitting back trying to maybe jack up the pitcher's pitch count a little bit, but no, you're being super aggressive early in the count, chasing those fastballs early, and it's paying off. I mean, Enrique Bradfield, where the game's going on right now, the first pitch of this Mizzou game, Enrique Bradfield swings, first pitch, he gets a double. So I think that's just I think that's a lot of the success right now is you just have a team that's very, very aggressive at the plate right now. They're getting good barrels in the zone. And they look awesome. And whenever you have pitchers who go out and continually shut teams down, I feel like you as an offense almost have this mentality of like, we can't lose, if that makes sense. It's just like if you see Owen or
Bryce Cunningham
right now go out and are just throwing heat, then you're like, well, we can't lose. You know what I mean? Because our guy's not going to fail. So I mean, this Vandy team, we said it last pod. I don't want to jinx them. And of course, things can change in SEC play. Like they're going to lose eventually. Like it's baseball. Like that's just what happens. But I really don't see any weak links on this team. And so I totally agree. This is a very fun VandyBoys team to watch right now.
It is. And Corbin talked about it before the season. He said, I'm confident in this group. I like this group. I like my team. And you're seeing why he likes his team. So we're going to dive into the VandyBoys. We got a lot to get to. We're going to touch on the spring game and what's going on around the spring game. Quentin Malloy-Brown, of course, might be the big topic. Trevor's sweet engineering prince.
It makes me so sad.
What a nickname.
Sad.
Yeah, we'll get into all that and talk a lot of Vandy baseball. And Rhett Wiseman will hop on towards the end of the pod to close it out and catch back up on the VandyBoys. So we'll get to all that. But first, don't forget to follow us on Twitter @door_report and Instagram door.report. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our podcast is available on Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And while you're at it, give our podcast 5 stars and review on iTunes. All right, let's get to the breaking news. All right, guys, we start with Gordon Sargent, the Vanderbilt men's golf amateur at the Masters. I'm not exactly sure how many amateurs are playing in the Masters. It is a select group. There's a guy from Texas A&M right now who I think is like top 10 right now on the leaderboard. So as an amateur, you've got your opportunity, and Gordon Sargent is getting it. Right now, his first shot went 365 feet. So he just mauled. He mashed his first shot. And I think he birdied that hole, if I'm not mistaken, as well. It was either that hole or the second hole. I'm trying to look for confirmation right now, though. But guys, that's pretty cool. I mean, to have your first amateur play in the Masters at, how old is he? 19, 20? I mean, he's a youngin going down to Augusta and competing. I mean, that's pretty damn cool, seeing him on these interviews and things like that. So I think that's something that we gloss over sometimes. Like when this happens, I know when I was younger, I wouldn't have cared about a Vanderbilt amateur golfer in the Masters, but I think at this point, you see that branding, you see that new logo on a Masters graphic. I think little things like that help. I mean, it's not every college has this opportunity. And guys, this is the Masters. This isn't just, the FedEx Waste Management Open or whatever, whatever
waste
that,
management.
whatever, some of those other tournaments are. This is the Masters and as an amateur. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be able to say that again.
Yeah, I mean, I think he finished the day 5 over, shot a 77.
There you go. I was trying to find his score.
Yeah, 12 shots behind the first round leader at the Masters in day one. But yeah, you mentioned it. The number one thing about this that sticks out to me is the invaluable brand recognition that you get. The immediate association with Vanderbilt University athletics, associated with the kind of quote unquote coolest golf tournament that there is, with by far the most recognition. So any media is good media, especially when it's a 19-year-old amateur golfer from your university competing on the biggest stage. That's always good exposure for your athletic department.
And Trevor, that's what helps this. That's what helps this logo too. We talk about how is this logo gonna get on the minds of fans around the country. Well, this is a pretty good start at having it on the Masters graphic and things like that.
It's like, I mean, and I'm not a big golf guy. All my my best friends are like huge golf guys. Like they love the Masters, like they play. But whenever you think of just sporting events, like you think of the Super Bowl, you think of the World Series, you think of the national title, the Masters is one of the most like highly, like, I don't know if coveted is the right word, but like people love going to the Masters. Like people will like blow out their bank account to go to the Masters. And it's just, I think it's even illegal to like, I don't know what it was. I saw like a post that said it was like illegal to like sell your tickets or something like that. I don't know.
There's a lot of weird stipulations,
but there's like a lot. Well, in another thing is I saw on the VU Commodores Instagram post that according to golf data, Gordon is ranked the number 1 amateur golfer in the world. And so, yeah, I totally agree. Like whenever you think about putting that logo out there and getting that sort of brand recognition, I mean, the Masters, and it's going to be on all weekend. It's going to get crazy views. And that's the thing, like it's loved by like, golf people, and it's loved by people who don't even really like care about golf. Like they'll tune in. Like I had it on in the background today while I was at work, just because I don't know anything about golf, but I was like, well, it's so I'll turn it on.
It's the aesthetic of having the Masters on a TV. Like that's what separates it. It's like the NCAA tournament, I mean,
he also looks like the most Vanderbilt kid ever.
He does.
Like there was a photo of him in his sport coat, and I was like, this, like, if I could draw if you're like, hey, create
a Vanderbilt athlete.
Create a Vanderbilt athlete.
Chat GPT. That is what Chat GPT and OpenAI would create if you typed in Vanderbilt golfer, 19 years old, number 1 amateur.
Or if you just type in just
out the other
Vanderbilt student.
Honestly,
it's him. Yes.
And guys,
this guy looks like Vanderbilt.
The name too, like your last name is Sargent. That's pretty Vandy. That's
pretty.
I mean,
that is, yeah.
That's
I
pretty.
could totally see him just smoking a pipe, just I don't know, just after he's done golfing. He's like, I need to go do my my trigonometry 4000 class. I'm building a robot for homework.
If only he was born and raised in like Westmead, like Belmont area, went to NBA. I think he's from Georgia. So he came up from Georgia. But guys, nonetheless, great opportunity for him. I think great branding for Vanderbilt, and we're going to continue. We'll see if he makes the cut. Well, you said he was +5 right now. So I don't think that gets you to the next day, but we'll see.
Probably not.
And I mean, that'll get you with Tiger Woods probably not making the cut either. Although I think Tiger might make the cut, but so we'll keep track of it. Gordon Sargent, see if he is able to continue playing. Gonna have to carry me, boys. Got this cough is nasty. All right, spring game. Black and gold spring game is already in a couple of days. Saturday, 5:00 start time at the soccer and lacrosse complex. They're calling it the Plex. Gates for this game.
Are they really?
Yeah, I saw it on VUCommerce.com. They're calling it
what?
the Plex. I was like, where is this? I was trying to read where it was, and it said this will be at the Plex. Like, I've never heard of the Plex, but yeah, gates open at 3:00, and fans are encouraged to allow extra time to arrive on campus due to continuing Vandy United projects. So there's a lot going on down there. And I want to talk about that here in a second, because some of those pictures were pretty revealing about what's going on. I mean, the whole tunnel is gone. I mean, it's kind of crazy. So from 3 to 6, Vandyville's open, kid-friendly place. I mean, bring your family. It's going to be fun. Daddy's Dogs, McAllister's Deli, Colonel's Popcorn, Mally's Food Truck, all kinds of different options for fans. Guys, this is going to be cool because it's a tight knit area, and it's going to be an up close and personal type of experience where I don't know that any other school can give this. Now, obviously you don't want to have your spring game at a soccer and lacrosse complex, but as Coach Lee did in his press conference, he looked at the positives and said, yeah, this is going to be an up close and personal event. You're going to get to see our players, 5-10 feet away. It'll be cool for any kids that want to go. But I guess I'll start with, I haven't been keeping up with spring ball a whole lot, but I'm looking forward to seeing chemistry between the quarterbacks and receivers, mainly AJ Swann and Will Sheppard, just to see how sharp they are and how much they've improved and how much they've been working, because you can see, like, when you're up in personally, you can see that. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever been to NFL spring training practices, but not spring training, fall camp, whatever, but
OTAs.
OTAs. You see how they've been working. It's like, okay, these guys have chemistry. I'm looking forward to that, Will, and looking at, okay, Swann to Shep or Swann to, Gamarion Carter, just seeing, and the freshmen too. I think a lot of freshmen that are already here. So I know it's early, but this will be a really good up close and personal look at this team in year 3, where they should look bigger. They should look stronger. They should look faster.
Yeah, Billy, you were having some technical difficulties getting logged into Zoom for this episode of the Door Report. But during those technical difficulties, me and Trevor were talking, and we were discussing the unstoppability that could potentially be AJ Swann to Will Sheppard. Ooh. And kind of connected to that is having Quincy Skinner Jr. on the other side and having 2 legitimate outside threats at receiver, and Will Sheppard and Quincy Skinner Jr. and having McGowan in there as the slot guy.
Forgot about McGowan.
It's hard not to have just a little bit of remembrance of what Chris Boyd and Jordan Matthews were able to do in black and gold, and having 2 threats on the outside like that. You really have not seen that on a Vanderbilt team. Mm-mm. I mean, you had Kalijah, Trent Sherfield, but really the dominant outside receiver threats, and 2 of them. That is something that I cannot get over, keep hitting on. But going into the spring training, we know, or spring practice, we know the offensive line is solid. We know quarterback play, pretty solid. We know receiver play should be solid. The odd part of this Vanderbilt football team is the positions that are up in there are tight end and running back. And we are very used to, as Vanderbilt fans, having those positions, specifically running back, kind of hammered down, ready to go. Yep. We know what to expect.
That's a good point.
The skill positions on the outside and the offensive line.
It's kind of reversed
we're going
now.
in questioning. Yeah, about 95% of the time, and it's completely flip-flopped. So going into spring practice, I think this offense is going to be almost 100% based around, especially early on, as they're continuing to kind of grow with tight end transfers coming in, as this roster continues to develop. I think it's mostly going to be that passing game that we're going to see, because that's where you're seeing the carryover. I mean, who right now, besides Patrick Smith, is in that backfield?
You
Chase
got
Gillespie.
Chase Gillespie, Dylan Betts,
Cedric.
That's a thin backfield right now.
Yeah,
for Vanderbilt.
unproven.
And going into last year, it was the complete opposite. You had Rocco Griffin, Ray Davis, Patrick Smith, Gillespie. You pretty much had a spoil of riches in the backfield. And this year is the complete opposite. So seeing how this offense and Clark Lee and the staff are able to adapt, that's going to be something to watch early. And these close confines of the spring practice or spring game is going to be really interesting. And as we've been talking about it, I was on the fence. I think I'll be there. I'll be there on Saturday watching in person.
What else
you guys have
do?
gotten me excited. Exactly. What else am I going to do? Trevor, where do you think, and what are you going to be watching on the offensive side? I know we've hit on the passing game, but what's something else that Vanderbilt fans can look at besides the Will Sheppard, AJ Swann connection?
So I sort of have an unfair advantage because the past 2 Saturdays I've been at Vanderbilt's open scrimmages at Innsworth.
Play-by-play.
So I have had a little bit of an insider's look. So I can tell you guys the AJ Swann to Will Sheppard connection looks really good. I mean, Will Sheppard has made, just in the scrimmages, Will Sheppard has made some absolutely crazy catches, and AJ Swann has made some really, really good throws to him. I mean, there's been a couple of times to where it was not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. One play in particular, it wasn't for a touchdown or anything, but I believe they had Will Sheppard lined up inside, and he sort of ran this fade to the sideline, and AJ Swann dropped it in. They had Richard on him manned up. And then they had, I think it was Savion Riley at safety, and he dropped it right in the breadbasket where only Will could get it. And so I would obviously, anybody who follows Vanderbilt football is going to obviously look for the Will Sheppard, AJ Swann connection. Quincy Skinner had a really, really, really good spring scrimmage last week. In the red zone, whenever they do 1-on-1 drills or 2-on-2 drills in the red zone, he literally looks unstoppable. They put whoever on him in the red zone, and he cooks who's ever in front of him. So I'd watch out for Quincy Skinner. As for the backup position, Ken Seals has played really well. Walter Taylor looks.
How about that though? I mean, Ken Seals. Who would have thought he'd be? And I'm not ripping it at all, but. Number one, who would have thought he'd still be here? And number two, brother. Who would have thought we'd be in this position where you have your proven sophomore starting quarterback and what is Ken, a 5th-year senior now, as the second string? It's so weird to me. But Ken had a great interview, and Will, I think you quote tweeted this. I forget who he said this to. I think it might have been Tennessean, but basically Ken said that I believe this is the best culture program in the country. Like the relationships I've built here, that's why I'm still here. That's why I didn't leave. And and you hear that all the time, but I think with this program, it specifically hits home when you are up close and personal. Like Trev, you might have seen some of this, the personalities and the relationships and the chemistry and the connectivity, being around just Coach Lee and other coaches, like you see it. So the players see it. They're there every day. Fans will get to see it on Saturday. It's just, there's something different. And Will, I know you talked about that. I know you tweeted about that. It's just, I think to me, that's what I keep thinking about with this program and where they're at.
It's indefinable what Clark Lee has. Let me see if I can explain this well. We'll see how this goes. Clark Lee, players, you can sense it. Fans can sense it, but there is no next job for Clark Lee. 98% of
the
college
boats are
coaches, even coaches that are at a traditional blue blood or traditional prestigious program, it's still not the job for them. It's a great job. Let's use Josh Heupel at Tennessee, for example. That's a great job for Josh Heupel, but there's really no connection for Josh Heupel. Nebraska.
And if Oklahoma opens up, because
Yep.
That's where his connection is.
Exactly. So he's got Oklahoma. That's kind of the Clark Lee. That's the comparison for Josh Heupel to Clark Lee is that would be like him at Oklahoma. So players can kind of sense that and the culture that he's able to create, because it's not fake. He doesn't have to fake passion for the program. You can feel it with Brian Kelly at LSU. You can feel the fake
family.
It just oozes out of him. This is just what you can take this and connect it to any program in the country, and he's going to have the same speaking points. He's going to talk the same. He's just going to change the color of the jacket that he's wearing. That is not the case for Clark Lee. Now, of course, getting into the different position coaches, whatever, it's always going to be a stepping stone. But to have the head coach of a program, it's not a stepping stone. This is where he wants to be. This is where he wants to build a program. And if you could ask Clark Lee, to be completely honest, where do you see yourself in 20 years? I think he would give the answer of coaching Vanderbilt football. And I don't think that truthfully is a very common and honest answer that most college football head coaches can give, is that in 20 years, I still want to be and plan to be coaching this program. So you're seeing it all the time with these unfortunate situations of student athletes committing to programs, playing there for a year, and then the head coach is like, all right, deuces. Thanks for committing and committing for the next 4 years to this program, uprooting your whole life, your whole family committing to this program. But I got bigger fish to fry. See you later, Deion Sanders. Great example. That's something that's not going to happen at Vanderbilt, and that's
you can't even picture that with Clark. Imagine
that
Clark
cannot be taken for granted and repeated enough. Is like, that's not going to happen. He can say it in the recruiting pitches. It doesn't even need to be said by staff members doing these recruiting visits, and I'm sure that there will be players there at the spring game.
Yeah,
but man.
Yeah,
and
the culture created. I quoted it with the Ken Seals,
right?
With the Ken Seals quote. Getting back to what we were talking about, but the other situation going on with Ken is his dad was unfortunately diagnosed with cancer, and we've chatted back and forth with Ken's dad, or I have, throughout the football season a few different times, and so I'm sure that contributed as well to the culture that Ken was talking about and the flexibility. That Clark would be able to provide as far as seeing his players as human versus just different pieces to a recruiting puzzle and a championship puzzle. So that's another part of that for Ken to have the unfortunate situation going on. So thoughts and prayers from this podcast to him and his family as well. So I did want to mention that, because I had seen some, comments on Twitter underneath where I'd put out that quote from Ken, that there are some other extenuating circumstances going on there, and thoughts and prayers up for him.
Yeah, no doubt. From everybody here at the Door Report, thoughts to you, Ken, your dad, and your family. And it's, you talk about that, Will, and I think that sort of hits home. We've talked about this before about, I wouldn't have been surprised if Clark or any of the coaches did something really special, whether it was, have the whole team, visit his dad, something like that. I don't know what happened, but you got to have a feeling something like that happened, and Ken went, man, I can't leave this. I can't leave this. So not surprised to hear that at all. But yeah, definitely prayers up. But yeah, Will, like you were saying, I think you mentioned up close and personal. This is your opportunity, Vanderbilt fans, to get an up close and personal experience with this team, see the personalities, see how they interact with each other. I mean, I'm sure there will be standing room. You could be 5 feet away from Will Sheppard making a catch in the corner of the end zone and celebrating with AJ Swann. I mean, it's going to be cool.
Guys, they look big this year.
That's another
the
thing.
Defensive front looks. Darren
Agoo,
and I'll say this too. And Darren Agoo, Derrick Wright, he looks like he was built in a lab. So if you come to the spring game, look at number 43, Derrick Wright. Literally, he has an NFL player body. He really does. He looks huge. Agoo looks huge. Altara looks massive. I mean, even CJ Taylor, you look at him and you're like, dang, this dude's huge.
He's a freak.
It's come out to the spring game. It'll be really fun. I think Vandy fans will. I doubt they'll open up it's a spring game. I doubt they'll open up the playbook, but yeah, come out. It'll be a really fun environment. And
not with you live tweeting, Trev.
Oh, they're gonna be like, that's the reason that the Vandy, it's not at the practice field, but that's the reason the practice field has the mesh that you can't look through is because they're like, this idiot is
Trevor Hulan's probably watching
practices.
Oh man, I'll be there. Will be there, and I think Hack Squad's going to be there too. I think my brother and we're going to take some of our little brothers. It's going to be fun. Take your family if you got little siblings or friends or whatever. Bring them. It's going to be fun for the spring game. 5:00 start time. The gates open at 3, so plenty of time to have some fun before. All right, let's get into the beef, guys. Quentin Malora-Brown has entered the transfer portal. Sadly, unfortunately, this was a surprise. I mean, especially since he said he would be back when speaking to the media at the SEC tournament. I mean, that was sort of a jolt of news in the midst of that run down the stretch of the season where you're like, man, it can't get better right now. QMB's back. Vandy just beat LSU, I think. We got Kentucky tonight. I mean, vibes were at an all-time high. All of a sudden, a couple weeks later, you don't make the tournament. Quentin Malora-Brown makes it the 6th player to enter the portal, and all of a sudden, it doesn't look so good. Now, a lot can change. I'm just saying right now, it doesn't look great. 6 players enter the portal. I mean, is that a lot, guys? In this day and age, is that a lot? I mean, I don't know. I think that leads. I think that leads the SEC. Florida is the next closest at 5. I think I saw. So, Noah Shelby, Dia, Thomas, Studi, Wright, and now QMB all out. And guys, I know we talked about QMB before. Gritty player. Only averaged 4 points and 4 rebounds a game this year. He's a grad transfer, of course. He was a mechanical engineering master's student. So did that play into this? Did he talk with Stackhouse and he didn't like what he heard and he said, I'm not going to get to play this year, so I'm not going to play here. I'm not going to go here. Who knows? I've heard different things. I'm sure you guys have heard different things. I'm not going to speculate. I don't like speculating on that. But, Will, initial thoughts. I mean, do you have a clue on what happened, what might have happened, how this impacts them? I mean, because it was a surprise to me. I think it was a surprise to everybody. And that's why I tweeted about it. I said, all right, something's up. Something's up. Either something's up positively or negatively. Like, something's up negatively. I'm not saying Stackhouse is leaving or anything, but something's up culturally, or something's up positively. Maybe Stackhouse has 4 or 5 guys booked and they're coming all next week. I don't know, but something is up.
You asked if that's normal, if the amount, well, obviously having 6 guys enter the transfer portal, opening up 6 spots on your roster and not really having any names that we've heard with any weight to them mentioned as potential replacements. I mean, that's the part that I'm trying to hold out hope. You saw the 5 names enter the transfer portal, QMB being the 6th, and you're sitting there trying to not have the sky is falling and not have the Chicken Little running around screaming the sky is falling mentality. But at some point, you've got to get bodies in to replace the guys you're losing. QMB is not a superstar, gonna be a game changer for this team this upcoming season. It is a loss. He's a big body. We love him on this podcast, mentioned it a lot. Gritty glue guy, does everything you want out of a big that's outside of scoring, really. But at some point, you've got to get guys in to replace him. You've got 3 guys, 3 stars coming in as freshmen in this class. You've got Lee Dort returning, Ezra Mignon returning, Colin Smith returning, Tyron Lawrence kind of up in the air, Paul Lewis returning. Other than that, am I missing anybody?
I don't think so.
That doesn't sound like a very full basketball roster to me. So there has to be someone, I'm praying, brewing in the transfer market for Stackhouse.
I mean, there has to be.
I have heard nothing. I've heard nothing. Every single player that has mentioned Vanderbilt has been alongside 20 other college basketball programs that have also reached out as far as potential destinations for them to land at. So I don't have any answers for the many questions that we received underneath the tweet you put out, Billy, about who is coming in to replace or any names that you've heard to come and replace. But the QMB news was shocking. It makes me think that maybe there is not a grand master plan here happening for Stackhouse and staff, and maybe this is just a complete liquidation of the current roster with really nothing to replace it.
Surely this staff didn't expect 6 guys leaving, right?
Man, you would think.
I mean,
and that's my thing is like, and this isn't necessarily a knock on Jerry, but do we like really think that Jerry Stackhouse, because I have seen this go around. They're like, oh, well, he's got to have guys lined up, which could very well be true. But like, do we like really think that Jerry Stackhouse like is that sort of like galaxy brain, like he's 2 steps ahead and like this is all a part of the master plan? Because I'm going to be totally honest, I don't. Like, I'm like, I've had this conversation before.
But Trevor, he's proven us wrong. He's proven us wrong before.
He has,
and that's why I'm hesitant. It's just such a weird spot right now, and I totally get what you're saying. But we all said, like we were essentially calling for the guys firing after the Alabama game. He reels off 6 straight games, boom. Like, but it's also weird because I feel like you haven't seen enough of that. Like you haven't seen enough.
Well, my thing is too, is like, why aren't they committing yet? Like, am I like, maybe there's admission, like you have to go through the whole process, but like, I want to be like, why aren't you like, I want to see the On3 graphic on your Twitter that says you're coming to Vanderbilt. And like, if I saw a couple of those, I'd be like, okay, like
just one guy, like, just one big.
That's the thing, you haven't seen it,
and that's what's freaking me out is there's nobody. So if you just like we all said, I think everybody had a soft spot for Q, but I totally agree, not very offensively efficient, but he was a big, and you go into this offseason probably needing another big, and that was with Q and B and Dort. Now you go in and now you need 2 bigs. And so it's just, I mean, I don't know.
It's getting a lot tougher. I mean, because you look at it, Lee Dort is the center right now. And I'm not saying you'd be in an awful spot, but do you really want to throw a sophomore?
I think you're in an awful spot. I think you are. And that's not a shot. I mean,
you're in you're in an awful spot because this isn't a team that we're going in with the expectations that, a fringe NCAA tournament, solid berth in NIT. That's not a successful season in year 5. So you're looking at the current state of the roster, looking at who's available in the transfer market and saying, is this team going to be more talented than they were last year? You can answer that question for yourself. It's hard to look at the current state of the roster and say that the guys that they've lost are going to be replaced by equally or more talented guys completely across the board. And we could be wrong. There could be a master plan. Stack could be playing chess and not playing checkers. But Trevor, I tend to side with you on I don't really see it. And I think the QMB transfer news is what shifted me over to the maybe he doesn't have a master plan side more solidly.
And like, I want to believe, I really do. Like, I want to believe there's a plan, and there very well could be, because my natural disposition, like not just in sports, but as like a human being, is that I'm a very anxious person. And so that also extends to sports too. So I'm in very much like a sky, like the sky's not falling, but like the clouds are covering the sun right now.
Yeah,
and
it's a dark, gloomy cloud over this program right now.
Exactly.
And
like the rain hasn't started, but I'm like, that's a dark cloud.
There's a lot of work to do, right? Like say a guy
you lost a starting roster and a 6th man, basically. Like that's a lot to replace.
Yeah, there's a lot of production to replace, and all of a sudden, guys, say Tyron just decides to say he gets a good draft scout.
I was about to ask about that.
It's over. I'm sorry. If Tyron Lawrence declares for the draft officially, it is over. And Vanderbilt just took a 3-1 lead as we speak.
Get out. Safe. At second. Let's go.
Against Mizzou. By the way, their facility.
Get this bum out of here. Get this Lunsford guy out of here.
How is Missouri, like with those facilities? It almost looks like a high level D2 school at times. Like they're
SEC Big 12 challenge.
Yeah, like that's a pitiful facility. But nonetheless, Vanderbilt does lead Missouri 3-1, top of the 4th, and they're still going at it. Got runners on 2nd and 3rd now. But guys,
only one out.
Only one. But back to basketball, it's just such a, I don't think we're in as deep of a conundrum anymore. Like during that run, my brain, I didn't know how to process that run. And I think a lot of people could agree.
It was totally illogical.
Right. But
It
right
didn't make
now,
any sense.
I think it's starting to clear up now for me, right? Like I'm starting to look at this and say, this program, they are who they are, right? Like back-to-back years in the NIT, you lose in the quarterfinals of the NIT, right? Like is that who they are? Now, I don't know that, but that's what they have been, and that's what they have shown. So is that the ceiling? That's what I keep asking myself, and I'm pretty close to answering yes to that. Just because, I mean, last year, how many did they lose? 4? Was it 4 guys to the portal? I think it was 4, and this year 6. Right? I think the total is up to 18 now. Transfers since Stackhouse was hired. Right? Yep. So it just doesn't feel like a bright future is anywhere. Right? It just feels like you're kind of sitting in this like valley of average basketball. Right?
This was you're hitting on why I came on him was so negative after the Alabama loss. And the whole point was it's hard to look at this roster. Obviously, I didn't expect 6 guys to transfer out.
Get back.
Plus Tyron.
Damn pickle.
We got baseball going on at the same time. Plus Tyron potentially going to the NBA draft. But it was hard at that point in the year before the win streak to see this team being better next season. And so seeing this team being unable to make the NCAA tournament with a roster that had more talent on it than you were going to have next year, and everybody just saying, oh, it's fine, just they'll get hot at the end of the year and carry that momentum into next season.
That's what I'm sick of.
That was the frustration I was feeling is, guys, there's not always next season. The grass is not always greener. This might be the most talent that he is able to accumulate in one season. And it by far was the most talent that Stackhouse had on a roster in his first 4 years. And it seems to me that unless something crazy happens in this transfer portal, that's still going to be his most talented roster is going to be year 4, even entering year 5. So we will see, but Stack has got to do something. And if Lawrence decides that the NBA draft and he's ready to go and gets a good grade, then like you said, Billy, it's over. Go ahead and throw in the towel. And this upcoming season is a formality that will end in the firing of Jerry Stackhouse if Tyron Lawrence declares for the NBA draft.
Which I really don't think he will deep down. That's kind of a worst case scenario, obviously. But guys, it's the QMB transfer. It just, it cuts a little deeper, right? Like you had been cut. Right, with 5 transfers, right? You had a little scab. It's almost like you fell down, you hit your knee on the concrete, and that scab just reopened up with the QMB transfer, and it's like
it's infected.
Right,
you got a staph infection in your knee right now.
So, and that takes a while for that to heal. And if you don't go to the doctor, if you don't do the right things, it might not heal, and it might get worse. So Stackhouse has to get going, right? Like, in terms of timing, right? I mean, I'm not sure when guys report, like when your team is supposed to report, but you'd like to get a team together and in a group chat, I would assume, and say, here's our team. Because right now, say you're Ezra Mannion, right? Say you're Colin Smith or Paul Lewis. I mean, what are you sitting around thinking right now, right? Like it's the meme of what's his name in an empty house. Right, he's looking around. I mean, it's like, what's our? Is this our team?
Oh, Will Smith. Will Smith.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Will Smith meme. I mean,
yes.
Obviously, it's not that bad, but
life imitates art.
That's sort of where they're at, and so I like to put myself in those shoes of a Paul Smith type of guy. You know, does he start to say, "Man, this looks bleak next year"? I mean, I don't know if our coach can bring in 5 or 6 guys that can put us to an NCAA tournament because that's where I want to play. So does that start happening? Does this get worse? I mean,
now if I can be the sky is not falling guy on the other side, you've basically retained all your talent. Okay, so
Right. Yeah.
I get Jordan Wright, 1-year rental, transferring to LSU back to his hometown SEC school. That's
calling
a
Baton
one-off
Rouge.
scenario.
I got
Malik
that
Dia,
wrong.
probably a guy in Malik Dia that isn't, a Power 6 conference guy, potentially transferring out. But you've retained Colin Smith, you've retained Lee Dort, probably. You've retained Ezra Mignon, you've retained Paul Lewis. And the guys that you have lost aren't necessarily the guys that would be building blocks for the future of this program. That being said, Jesus Christ, there's only like 5 guys left on the entire roster. I mean,
I love it, Will. I love it.
I love the guys that you've maintained. I
See,
think
it's hard to talk. It's hard to be positive.
The
right
most
now.
key guys on the roster that I would have said you have to keep these guys this offseason.
Depth sort of matters.
You have kept the guys that are like the you can't lose guys, but that's all you have kept. Literally every single player that I would not have marked as absolutely mandatory to keep, you've lost them. And so now you've got to replace it.
And that has Vandy fans hanging on by a thread. That right there, right? You have 5 guys that you could probably win with, but they couldn't take you very far, right? Like they could win you some non-conference games, but you sort of need depth in the SEC. And Trevor, that's what they don't have right now. And now, Will,
it's like, what was that one basketball team? Was it the 2014 team where it was like the Magnificent Seven?
Yeah.
It's all we had, boys. I feel like this, except like that team was really fun to watch, and like I don't. We're gonna.
That was some tough times of Vanderbilt basketball. You're bringing back into my Brayley Alberts or whatever his name was.
No, that wasn't even Brayley. That was like Shelby Moats, right?
That was Shelby Moats.
Shelby Moats, Kyle Fuller,
yeah.
Dejon Parker. I think Luke Cornett might have been on that team.
The Chance was on there.
Yeah, they were young. That was
Baldwin.
I don't think they were there yet. It was an interesting group. I think Siakam was on that. Yeah, Siakam was on that team. But that's where we're at almost, right? Like if State Stackhouse picks up 3 more transfers, right? You still have 2 more spots. You're going to fill that with a walk-on. You're going to get another freshman. Like, there's a lot of decisions to be made right now, right? Are we going to see 5 transfers? Are we going to see 4 transfers and a walk-on? Like, how are they going to manage that? I will go to the positive side, Will, like you were trying to get to. It's hard. It's hard right now. But part of me goes back to Stackhouse and his ties, a lot of the recruiting ties he does have. And part of me believes he can bring in a big-time post player, right? Part of me believes he can bring in a guy to replace a Jordan Wright, a lockdown defender, and kind of a combo guard type of player. The freshmen I don't look too far into, right? Because freshmen haven't been retained by Stackhouse. I mean, that's a fact. I hate saying that about the freshmen this year, but I mean, how many freshmen has he retained? And I know we've talked about that, but so it's hard to be positive right now though, guys. It's like nails on a chalkboard when you're trying to talk positive about what's happening with Vanderbilt basketball. And I'm being serious there. Like I remember after the Alabama game, we talked negatively, of course. That was the mood of the fan base at the time. And I look back and okay, we had a whole season left. I don't want to do it again because we have been proven wrong before. At least I have. And I'm going to give it a couple weeks. And if they still don't pick up the players that we need it to see as fans, that's, but then again, we keep saying that it's like, okay, we haven't seen one, like you said, Will, right? Like we haven't seen anybody commit.
Transfer portal is March 13th through May 11th is the open period of the transfer portal, according to
March 14th through May 11th. Okay.
Yep. So this is a big April for Vanderbilt basketball. Yeah. I mean, I think
we're
just kind of hitting on the.
Yeah,
we better see something in April. I mean, I think we will try to keep everyone updated on what's going on in the transfer portal. But as of right now, it is an opaque wall that we have no view into.
Yeah. To all the listeners and to the people who follow us on Twitter, I will make a promise to you that Billy will no longer tweet April Fool's jokes saying Olivier Kamwa is transferring to Vanderbilt. So
I had to.
Yeah. It also made me angry, guys. I was texting people. I was checking boards. I was like, where is this? And then I found out that it was fake. And I told Billy I hated him. I said, Billy, I hate your guts.
I had a few like Tennessee fans quote tweet it and be like, no way. Like, no way. But yeah, it ended up getting like 60,000 views, which I thought was kind of funny. But
Billy's a fraudster, guys.
They didn't even quote tweet it or anything saying this is April Fool's joke. Like, there's people still out there seeing it. Right?
It's just still live.
But no, guys. So it's just tough to talk positively about what's happening right now. But then again, Stackhouse has proved us wrong before, and I'm not ruling any of that out. Right? Like I think he can bring in a bunch of guys now. How good will they be? Who knows? But Will, I think your point still stands that the core you need is there, right? Like that's what Stackhouse can say. Like I've got 5 guys I can throw on the court right now and probably win with. I just need some depth pieces.
Need some bodies.
Come be that depth piece for our program and punch us into the tournament, right? So I think he does have a selling point, but you got to do it quick, right? I mean, it's like, here, do it in a month. Good luck, Stack.
I mean, when you're seeing 2 of the transfers out of your own program already commit to LSU and Belmont, and you have yet to land anyone coming into your program, it just continues to build the Trevor anxiety that continues to sit in the pits of
I'm about to call my
stomachs.
Freaking primary care physician. She's like, hey, like everything in life okay? I'm like, no. Vanderbilt basketball has given me.
They haven't signed anybody out of the portal yet.
They haven't. She's like, "What are you?" She's like, "What's the portal?" I'm like, "You don't understand. I need to up my prescription."
What do we do when we're feeling like this? We read 24/7 sports message boards.
She's like, "Did I not tell you about the breathing method?" I'm like, "Just right now."
Okay, I tell this to fans. We're not Robbie Weinstein. We're not Chris Lee. Okay. We're here to react and give you guys our informed opinions and takes and information. So the questions about portal wish list, we don't have one, right? I mean, I mentioned Damian Dunn and right. Just give me 5
Hunter
players.
Dickinson still out there.
That was a guy I didn't mention. And I don't think it'll happen, but how ironic would that be? Right, like his last game as a Wolverine was at
various acts for Hunter Dickinson to be in black and gold.
I think he might be in blue and white.
Okay,
he might
the
be
big
a Kentucky
blue
Wildcat. Yep.
Don't say
Good
that.
Call.
If I had to place some money on a prop bet on where Hunter Dickinson's going, that would be
also
where my money would be placed.
Speaking of prop bets, I should have placed one on Jordan Wright to LSU. I called it. I know you guys weren't surprised by it either.
I was shocked. I was on the pod last week. Like people kept asking me, like LSU. I'm like, guys, he's not going to LSU. Like, there's no way. And
I had an LSU.
I saw the tweet and I was like, oh my god.
We had LSU fans DMing us saying, "Is Jordan Wright going to commit? When's he going to commit?" I'm like, I don't know. I mean, he probably will, but I don't know.
Like have him, I guess.
Yeah, but he was. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Happy for him, really. I think that's going to be cool. That's going to be a cool moment when he comes back to Memorial because he should not be booed. Right, and I hope we all agree on that. Trevor.
Look, there's 2. I said this to Trevor.
Let me have time. Let me have time
Trevor.
and I'll think about it.
There's 2 reactions you can have.
Come on.
There's the
it's the Eagles fan.
That's ridiculous.
It's
there's
the Eagles
human
fan
being reaction. There's the human being reaction.
What city are you from?
Dude, I hope Jordan Wright does good as a person. Like I think everyone on this podcast is a human. It's like it's where you're dribbling a basketball on a hardwood court and what colors you're wearing. So like from the macro extent, I hope Jordan Wright does great. From the non-macro Vanderbilt fan perspective, the fact that the fan expectation as a fan, so this is not as a person, that you are just supposed to sit back and applaud a guy who's like, thank you so much for the last 4 years and making me a part of your family. I'm now going to transfer to your intra-conference rival, and you're going to play against me now, and anything but congratulatory applause for my decision will make you a horrible person. Like, that's stupid. Okay, he's transferring away from your program. I hope he does great as a person. I think like nothing against that. But as far as being like a Vanderbilt fan, do I have to sit there and clap for that? that's just a weird situation that we've created as normal. Is like, yeah,
so you're just gonna sit there.
It's not even that. It's just I'm still like I'm
You're
not
talking about like the responsibility.
I
Like, right, you don't
understand
have
that.
the right.
I don't think I would boo
I wouldn't
him,
boo
but
him.
like,
Okay, that's what I was getting at. I thought y'all were
Okay.
getting there. Like,
if he got like a ticky-tacky foul, I might start to boo, but like,
okay, but I'm talking about when he's introed, right? When they say starting at guard, Jordan Wright.
no, I would not boo him.
I'm not a boo guy, but at the same time, it's like all the stuff. I'm trying to find Jordan Wright's statement. It's like, Commodore Nation, my time in Nashville has been nothing short of amazing. I've cherished every minute of this journey and appreciate my 4 years as a Commodore. With that being said, thank you so much, and I'll be leaving your program and your city never to return except when we play against each other in competition. And it's like, that is just so dumb. It's like two sides. You can't have this was an irreplaceable 4 years and nothing will ever approach the last 4 years. But I'm going to transfer and I hope it goes way better somewhere else. It's like, okay, whatever.
I think for Jordan,
good looks to Jordan. I'm kind of sick of this transfer within the same conference bullshit.
I see where you're at there. I totally understand that, because I think as Vanderbilt people, as anybody in the SEC, right, you're starting to see it a lot, right, within the SEC, like whether it's A&M to Arkansas or Vandy to LSU, right?
Well,
I don't like that.
Christian Little did the same thing.
When I was in high school,
I will boo Christian Little.
Where was the outrage there? Yeah.
We had two of our best players on our basketball team transfer to a rival school within our county.
Belmont.
And it's like, okay, but this was in high school, like personally.
Oh, I did. Down the road.
Yeah. Oh. So, but there wasn't this gigantic expectation of every single student from the current school is going to applaud them when they're announced in the starting lineup as, oh, well, they put in 3 years at this school and then transferred to another one to play for a different coach on a different team. I don't know. It's just a weird environment that we've created within the transfer portal. I don't really have a point as to what I'm saying. It just is. And I think Vanderbilt fans will agree with the emotion I'm trying to put out there right now.
Well, there's a lot of varying emotions going on with Vanderbilt basketball fans in particular, but baseball
is very raw right now too.
It is, but
it's very raw.
Baseball is balancing that out right now. I think thank goodness.
I love the VandyBoys.
Speaking of the VandyBoys, before we get to the VandyBoys, anything else on basketball? I know we mentioned Malik Dia to Belmont, Jordan Wright to LSU. I think we have exhausted everything. We've probably tired out Vandy fans with basketball drama. We'll have more to talk about. Any transfer portal news that comes out, we will talk about it. All right, VandyBoys, a lot to get to here, and they swept another team in the SEC for the third straight time, and they're actually hoping to sweep another team as we speak. They lead Missouri right now 3-1, heading to the bottom of the fifth. They're 23-5, 9-0 in the conference. They became just the fifth team in SEC history and the second since 1991 to start conference play with 3 straight sweeps. They have won 11 in a row. This weekend's sweep was Vandy's first sweep over Georgia since 2016. And they've got guys, freshman of the week, pitcher of the week, offensive player of the week. I mean, it's every week. Chris Maldonado, SEC co-freshman of the week. He reached base 8 times in the Georgia series. Devin Futrell, he was named SEC pitcher of the week. He tossed 8 shutout innings in the 4-0 victory on Sunday. I mean, there's not enough to say about this team right now. Guys, they're hitting .352 as a team during this stretch. They're holding opposing hitters to 204 average. They're averaging 12 runs per game. The stats, I mean, I can go on forever, but the bottom line is, guys, they're not going anywhere. I mean, I don't like how people say they're back. I have never said they're back. I mean, they didn't go anywhere. But I do think people on the outside were saying, they were chirping, saying VandyBoys are declining. You know, you would see Twitter comments, YouTube comments, whatever it was. There was a lot of chirping about that, even last year, from Tennessee people, from SEC people, saying that the VandyBoys are dying. They're declining. And I think you saw signs of it, but what they did in the offseason to root out some of the evils, whether it was Little, Carter Young, I'm not picking out those guys, particularly. I mean, it could have been other guys, but that's what happened. I mean, they rooted out guys that were cancers to the team, and they brought in a guy like RJ Schreck. They brought in a freshman like Maldonado, RJ Austin, right? So
Astine, who is not a defensive liability at shortstop, and
and has
good on
developed,
offense.
Right, he's developed within the program. So, and the quote, I asked this to Rhett Wiseman, guys. Did y'all see the Corbin quote that I retweeted from the door report? It was a pretty jarring quote, and it was from Next Level Baseball. And Corbin was asked about, the transfer portal and NIL and things of that nature. He said, this is from a very good college head coach. Corbin actually told all the guys from his roster last year that they should go in the portal if they wanted NIL money because they would never do it at Vandy. He pushed guys out, got rid of the selfish people. Awesome stuff, but definitely a unique place in this shit show we have now.
I did not see that quote.
So yeah, it's next level.
Lord,
Next Level Baseball. It's a nationally ranked travel organization. Perfect Game. 71,000 followers on Twitter. I mean, it looks pretty reputable. I didn't believe it at first, but I mean, I don't see. There's just like 68 quote tweets about it. It got nearly 2,000 likes. So again, I'm not confirming that's true. And a college coach said that. I wouldn't be surprised though, right? And that's who Corbin is. I mean. And so I think from Vandy fans' perspective, sit back and relax because this team is on a mission, right? I mean, this is the SEC, right? I don't want to hear about this is the down part of your schedule. No. Will, you hit it perfectly. Ole Miss was a top 10 team, right? And
they were top 5 team.
They were number 3 in the country, I believe. And Vanderbilt swept them. It's every article that you read about Vanderbilt baseball because I'm doing catching up.
But they've played the worst 3 teams.
Yeah, of the 3 of us.
had as a top 10 draft pick at shortstop in Jacob Gonzalez. Like people like these are not schlubs.
Yes.
No.
The teams that Vanderbilt has swept and started out 9-0 against are 3-15 in games not played against Vanderbilt. So yes, the teams that Vanderbilt has swept so far are 3-15 in other games that they have played. Those other games they have played are still in the SEC against SEC opponents. And Billy, you said something at the beginning about the VandyBoys didn't go anywhere. And I think that was a very good point is Vanderbilt baseball didn't go anywhere. Other SEC programs started pouring resources into their programs to reach the level of success that Vanderbilt had shown could easily be, not easily, but could be achieved in the SEC. And now the cream is once again rising to the top. And Tim Corbin and this Vanderbilt program are still the elite program, the number 1 program in all of college baseball. I just want to repeat that. They are the most interacted with across all social media channels.
It's not even close.
It's not even close. Vanderbilt baseball is number 1. The VandyBoys are number 1. That brand is untouched across college baseball. And this year, they're finally kind of putting it together again. I know it's been so long since they won a national championship in 2019. Everybody just acts like that didn't happen so long ago.
And they were in it in 2021.
Yeah, so long ago. But this Vanderbilt team is bringing back some great memories of Vanderbilt teams in the past. And Trevor, Billy, you guys, the ones that'll get to the nitty gritty. And I have been watching and can't wait to contribute to these nitty gritty conversations as we continue going.
When Will contributes, that's when you know. Yeah.
I
can't wait to start having takes that anger people. That's all I need.
This team is literally, and two, I want to address, I think you guys have done a great job about this narrative that Vanderbilt hasn't, or like the Vanderbilt hasn't played like teams yet. Like, yes,
right.
the in-conference record, not great. Ole Miss, whenever Vanderbilt played them and swept them in convincing fashion, they were top 3 team in the nation, defending national title team. Mississippi State, I mean, it is what it is. Mississippi State they actually do suck. Like, it's just
that's the one team.
Yeah, that's the one team that people are like, oh, you played Mississippi State. I'm like, yeah, I'll give that to you. Like, you maybe have a point. Georgia is not good, but Georgia was maybe one of the best, like you can make the argument like the best offensive team in the SEC. I mean, after this is just after the series, Charlie Condon had like a 26 game hit streak, carried that through the series. Listen, his batting average halfway through the season is 449. He has a 449 batting average. He's slashing 449, an OBP of 531. He's slugging 832 and has an OPS of 1.363. That is crazy. And then you want to know their next guy up? Their next guy up, he's batting a casual 400. Their next guy up, Parks Harbor, batting a casual 304, then 290, 284, 284. I mean, even if like you look at like also too, this subscription to D1 baseball, I freaking love it.
Next level.
It's amazing. If you guys, if any of my diehard baseball fans want to know about Charlie's runs created plus, he's at 372. So Georgia is a really, really good
runs
offensive team.
Plus.
Yeah, like we want to. Hey, Babbitt, he's at 1,000 guys. He's
how deep into the nitty gritty do they get?
Oh, I mean Babbitt, weighted runs created plus. We got rated runs above average. And then
he sounds like me talking about the Ken Palm subscription.
I literally was thinking, I was like,
that's exactly what I sound like.
I was like, Will,
it's like Christmas morning.
Missouri just scored, so it's 3-2 Vanderbilt. They have a runner on second base, bottom
Missouri's
5.
Good.
But Missouri is probably, and then we'll get into Missouri. Missouri is probably the best
we'll
team
get there.
That we face so far. But this Vanderbilt team is good, and they're a buzzsaw right now. Anybody who runs into them just gets all chopped up. I mean, he's not starting tonight.
Carter Holton, they're resting him.
Yes, which is whenever I saw the lineup that Bryce Cunningham was starting, I got very nervous because Carter Holton was named by D1 Baseball mid-season All-American, like just loaded top. And you can make the argument Carter Holton isn't even the best weekend starter. Like you can make the argument that Devin Futrell still got that title. Like, and so just top to bottom, I mean, this team, they've always had pitchers. Vandy will always have pitchers. But whenever you got an elite pitching staff like this, and then guys who can just go out, and if you want to play small ball, fine, we'll play small ball with you. If you want to get into this modern game of baseball just to where it's all about hitting home runs and getting extra base hits, fine, this team can do that too. Like, it's just whatever style of baseball you want to play, Vanderbilt's like, yeah, like we can do that. You know what I mean? And so it's a fun team to watch. It's a very, very fun team to watch.
And, before the season, I think we had talked about this team as being a small ball team, right? I mean, I don't know that I expected this team to be hitting all the home runs they've hit so far. That's been a pleasant surprise. So you're right, Trevor. Like they can win, they can beat you in a variety of ways. They can take you deep. They can small ball you down the third base line, move RJ Alston over. Enrique's at first, right? You got the bases loaded all of a sudden. So, you're right. They can win in a variety of ways, but I think small ball is down the stretch, whether you get into postseason play, is where they're going to have to, because the fields get bigger, right? If you get into Omaha, you get into Hoover, right? The fields get a little bit bigger. Not saying they can't hit the ball out, but that feels like a little bit of their DNA. They've hit well at home. But you mentioned the pitching, Trevor. They've got a 3.03 ERA with 95 strikeouts to 36 walks during this win streak. I mean, just ridiculous numbers. They beat WKU, which is always good to win a non-conference game. But let's get to this series here with Missouri. I think we're all watching it right now. Looks like we're in for a good finish tonight. Vandy's up 3-2 in the bottom of the fifth. Missouri's threatening. I think you're right, Trev. I think they're even a little bit better than Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss was highly overrated. Missouri's a team that swept Tennessee. They haven't won an SEC game since then, though. Right? So they swept Tennessee.
They're a weird team. They're a very weird team.
Yeah, they just popped up the stat, Billy, that said that during the UT series that they averaged 7.7 runs per game. And then when they had their two series against South Carolina and UK following that, they averaged 2.7 runs per game. And they went from batting 291 to like 204.
Yeah, huge.
Which in their defense, Kentucky and like South Carolina is obviously an elite team. Kentucky is also very good this season. Top 25 ball club.
Yeah, you're seeing teams now in the SEC. All of a sudden, like you said, Will, they're putting resources. All of a sudden, you're seeing them get a little bit better because you're in the SEC. You're recruiting to the South, and you can recruit to your conference. So, But yeah, right now, Vandy's up 3-2. All three of these games are on SEC Network Plus, so go on and watch them. Cold. It's cold. Not the wind isn't too bad. Doesn't look like right now. But it is cold. I think it'll be in the 30s, low 40s the whole weekend. But it is Easter weekend. I think that's why they started it on a Thursday. Most series around the country are starting on Thursday. But yeah, guys, Missouri is a team. They played in Arlington along with Vanderbilt, and they left with wins over Texas and TCU, right? So they started off well. Like you said, Will, they swept Tennessee at home to start SEC play, and we're like, what the crap? Where did this come from? And then, they turned around and got swept by Carolina and Kentucky. They're hungry. I mean, this is a series, guys, where you start to look at, you say, okay, you're going on the road, not the most favorable environment and conditions to play in, right? I'm not saying it's a rowdy environment, but you're playing in 30-degree weather, a little bit of wind, I think, tomorrow. So this is it, Trev. I mean, this is a big prove-it weekend for Vandy, right? I mean, go on the road, and we don't need a sweep. Rhett Wiseman got into this. He said, listen, let's not get greedy. We don't need a sweep, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
If you get another series win, all of a sudden that's 4 straight series win in the SEC to start the season. That is not too shabby.
No, not at all. And to Missouri, we were talking about their schedule a little bit. I looked this up. They're 4-7 against top 25 RPI teams. So not too great. 3 of those came against Tennessee. So, I mean, a losing record against your top 25 RPI teams. They're real funky. They're not the best offensive team.
What about their net, though?
Oh gosh, yeah. Look, I love the tweets about like anytime like the VandyBoys get a big win, they're like, "Well, how does this impact our net?" Like, that legitimately will never get old to me. Like, it could be October and like or it could be like September and Vandy beats like UNLV, and like I want to see like how does this impact our net rankings? Like, I think that is legitimately like hilarious.
It fits so perfectly with that basketball season too, just the way it went, like all that drama.
Gosh,
but go ahead, Trev.
But yeah, I mean, this is, I think too, I totally agree with what Rhett said. Vanderbilt doesn't have to get a sweep. Obviously you would love to have a sweep. Like, that's the goal, is to win every ball game, but this is baseball. And really it's about the series more than anything. If you can get the series, and I think too, I still think Vanderbilt's in a really good position to sweep this Missouri team. Whenever they announced the lineup, and I saw that Bryce Cunningham was pitching, I thought, okay, I was like, this, if there was a game Vanderbilt was going to drop, it could possibly be this one. And Bryce Cunningham is a great pitcher, and I will say that Vanderbilt fans should be. And Ryan Ginther gets out of the inning.
Yep, there we go. Boom.
Ryan Ginther, the pride of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Let's go.
He's getting up there in appearances
and shout out to Bryce Cunningham. I like I said, whenever I saw the lineup for this game, I was like, obviously your first initial thought is like, Jesus Christ, I hope Carter Holton's okay. And since it's just rest, fine.
No, let's just throw Cunningham out there. See how he does. He's done okay.
Exactly. And
like only Vandy can do that.
Yes, Bryce Cunningham is a step down from Carter Holton. That's not a shot on Bryce Cunningham at all, but like, whenever you think of starting pitchers,
he's younger.
Like, Carter Holton is up there with like Paul Skeens. I always butcher his last name. Like, he was the only other starting.
I don't know if anybody's up there with Skeens, Trev.
He was the only other starting pitcher to be voted mid-season All-American. He's not Skeens level, but like, dude, I don't know.
He's in that tier, though. Yeah.
Also, too, I'm not drinking the Skeens juice either. Have
you seen that Skeens kid, Will, from LSU? He's like 6'4", 220 pounds, and he looks like Steven Strasburg, like a big leaguer right now. Yeah. It's unbelievable. And Rhett talked about that. He had a hilarious quote when talking about LSU and Tennessee and the NIL era of LSU poaching guys, poaching Christian Little. He basically
who's the best pitching staff I've ever been a part of. Well, buddy, you're still getting shellacked because you don't have that dog in you. And I was a Christian. Yeah,
he got rocked a couple of weeks ago. But back to Rhett, he basically said, LSU next year, they're probably going to be awful because all those guys are going to be gone. Tennessee, they suck this year. Like he said, he said Tennessee, they suck because of everybody that left, and they brought in some transfers. So it's not easy to build a program through the portal, right?
No.
Because you never know when those guys are going to leave.
Perpetual free agency.
Exactly. Yep. And even in baseball. So again, to harp on that with this team, you see the development in these guys, like a guy like Vastine and the freshmen, man. I think they've been a huge key too.
RJ Austin's been a pleasure to watch.
Jonathan Vastine.
Maldo.
Yeah, Chris Maldonado. I mean, Davis Diaz, though, and Rhett talked about this too. We'll get to it here in a second. He said Diaz has been the key, right? Because he's hitting in. He's
so good on the corner.
He's hitting in that 2-hole, right? He's behind Bradfield, but he's protecting RJ Schreck in the lineup, right? So that protection, if you're the 3-hole, is huge. Schreck's actually up right now, but yeah, VandyBoys are rolling. I mean, they're a wagon. There's no other way to describe them. They've got Mizzou this weekend, and they will play tonight, which is Friday. We're speaking Friday terms. Saturday at 2:00. So it's going to be cold, a little windy tomorrow night, I think. So we'll continue to keep track of it. We'll be watching it all weekend. There's nothing else on other than the Masters. Hopefully Gordon Sargent makes the cut. But guys, that does it. We got into our baseball drama. We got into basketball. Will, you have anything else to close us out here with? Spring game motivation?
I saw it. Speaking of football, not spring game motivation. I just want to plug it in the minds of you guys and Vanderbilt fans. I saw it way too early over-under on Vanderbilt football wins and losses. This upcoming season.
I did too. Wasn't it 3.5?
Yep, 3.5.
What?
Put the house
disrespectful. That's ridiculous.
I texted. So this is where
there's no way that's true.
I have a buddy that his name is Shaw. He doesn't listen to this, but
it was that
he's
SEC
a gambling
podcast, right?
Yeah, he's a
SEC
gambling addict just like me. And before I ever saw that SEC podcast put out the 3.5 over under, I texted him and said, "Where do you think Vanderbilt's over under is going to set this year?" Just curious, somebody that's unattached to Vanderbilt football, and he said he thought it would be 5.5. And I said, absolutely not. It will not be a 5.5 over under. I said, I was deciding between 3.5 and 4.5, and seeing 3.5, if that is the official sportsbook line put out for Vanderbilt football, mortgage your house.
It's got to be at least 4.5.
Put your kids' college tuition on it. Vanderbilt over 3.5 wins this upcoming football season. I will be putting an irresponsible amount of money on that if that is the official line.
I'm right
Guys,
here with
Vandy
you.
football starting 5-0, maybe 7-0. I'm drinking the juice heavy.
It's just like, okay, and on the real gambler side, if you're not a Vanderbilt fan, that's really cool to say. But Vanderbilt will have opponents who are probably even money or underdogs playing against them in at least 4 games this upcoming season. It's another future over-under win-loss total from Vegas that doesn't make any sense and is only that because Vanderbilt does not have a large fan base that will bet the over up and make Vegas lose money. So I'm telling you, this is real free money. Do it, bet it, find it. That's the advice from the door report today.
This ain't Big Blue Nation. We can't carry the books.
I do my best. I do my best.
But no, guys, honestly, Vanderbilt owns Kentucky though. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about the questions and comments though, guys. There's only two that I think are relevant. So I got to get to these. Justin Kemp, hell of a comment here. I honestly got chill bumps when he typed this out when I saw this on Twitter. He says, "Oh, I just lost it. Here it is. The Vols series here last year was absolutely miserable in baseball at Hawkins Field.
It sucked. It was terrible.
Yeah. By Sunday, the people wearing the stupid Vitello jerseys outnumbered us. Just talk for a minute about the sweet, sweet revenge that's coming in 2 weeks in Knoxville."
Yeah.
Trevor, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. They're it's Holy Week. So Tennessee Vol fans, go ahead and take advantage of that. Get right with God. Sins must be atoned for. Tim Corbin and the VandyBoys are coming. A sweep is on deck. I'm trying to go to Lindsey Nelson or whatever the hell they call it.
I'm gonna get out there. I'm going.
So expensive. The tickets are so expensive because the ballpark's the size of a freaking shoebox. People are like, "Oh, how does Tennessee last year keep hitting all these home runs?" Well, because they were juicing not just the bats but themselves. I forget what that guy's name was, but the left fielder or the
Jordan
right
Beck.
fielder. Yeah, no. Who was it that got suspended for like
Drew
juicing?
Gilbert.
Drew Gilbert. Yeah, you're like, okay.
Right.
You're like, yeah, you guys are pumping yourselves with Deca in the clubhouse, but yeah, so you're juicing the bats, you're juicing your players, and your stadium is literally the size of a shoebox. Anybody could hit like a dinger out of there. And so like that's there's hell to pay in a couple weekends because Vanderbilt's going to trot out these MLB ready arms. The bats are going to be if you think this Vanderbilt offense is good right now, goodness, wait until you go into Lindsey Nelson and they're hitting inside a ballpark the size of a closet. I mean, Parker Nolan might have 7 home runs on the weekend. Like it's just
going back home. Guys, Trevor, RJ
I
Austin.
thought Vanderbilt just hit a home run straight away.
RJ Austin almost went yard. This is what the VandyBoys do. They keep you on the air. But I'll say this real quick before we end, and I'll let you comment on that. This team is on a mission. I mean, did you really think Tim Corbin was just going to lay down to the rest of the SEC? Jay Johnson buying his team, Tony Vitello acting like a clown, shoving umpires, buying
his team.
Right.
And then Maui sucks. He leads the SEC and I don't think he leads the SEC in errors, but like I think he literally might lead the SEC in errors.
Like, did you really think Tim Corbin and Vanderbilt baseball would just lay down like a dog and say, "Yep, my time here is done. I'm going to go out while I can. I'm going to go out losing in the regional." No, this team
and Corvallis.
Yeah, I mean that would be the most lame way to go out. Corbin's not going out like that. I'm convinced he's getting another national title, whether it's this year, next year, or 2 years from now. He's getting another one, and if it's this year, and if they beat Tennessee in Knoxville, I mean, that's for Vandy fans. That's some good icing on top of the cake. So
yeah.
Well, I don't know if you have any thoughts, but last season's series at the Hawk where Tennessee swept Vandy, that is still rooted deep inside this team's soul and this program's soul. I truly believe, right? Like that. I mean, if it's the same for the fans, then this team, I cannot wait for that series. That series is still like a month away, I think, or no, it's like 3 weeks away, 3 or 4 weeks away. But my goodness, I mean, that's going to be fun.
Tennessee baseball fans have a special place in hell. Because they literally, and I mean this truly, we joke.
I'm so sorry, Will. These umpires are morons. They just, I don't know who was batting, but they just called out because he didn't even try to go to second. He just kind of twitched the umpires.
Yeah, that was awful.
That was terrible.
I missed
it. They counted the run though, so 4-2. I think they counted the run 4-2, but innings should still be going on. But he didn't even act like he was going to second. He just ran through the bag and looked over at second. That wasn't like making an attempt to go there.
We need to start doing these with Trevor at the game.
Whatever I was saying,
I've just got a hot dog down my gullet.
Yeah,
go ahead, Will.
Whatever I was saying, I think I was saying that
whatever you were saying.
Yeah, whatever I was saying. Normally, like we make fun when Tennessee basketball is good and has been good under Rick Barnes or better. That when Tennessee basketball or Vanderbilt basketball is better than Tennessee basketball, Tennessee fans state that nobody cares about basketball. But, growing up in the state of Tennessee in the days of Chris Lofton and Shane Foster, Tennessee basketball does have a bit of a fan base and a bit of a tradition of supporting that program. However, that is not the case for baseball. And Vanderbilt baseball fans have dealt for years with Tennessee fans straight up just saying nobody gives a shit about baseball. I don't know why you Vanderbilt fans keep talking about how good your baseball program is. Nobody cares. And that was just because Tennessee baseball sucks dick. And they had one good season last year with Tony Vitello and his stupid beard.
Tony V.
and his stupid perfectly manicured beard. And they had one good year, and Trevor, you stated it perfectly. Sins must be atoned for. And that is the mindset that Tim Corbin and the VandyBoys are rolling into Knoxville with, and sins will be atoned for. I have no doubt in my mind.
Your knees will buckle. Your knees are going to buckle under the weight of your sins. I also want to say too, Will, I'm so sorry for interrupting, but I just showed the replay and he did attempt to go to second. He did like look so to all the TDR listeners. I'm so sorry, but I saw the replay. I'm like, yeah, that was actually a good call. It was just in the heat of the moment. I'm trying to do two things.
You're like a Tennessee. You're like a Tennessee baseball fan, Trev.
I know, guys. I swear I watch baseball. I promise. They showed the replay. I was like, that was a good call. So I am very sorry, but Will, sins must be atoned for. There's no,
What a
there's no putting blood on your door frame. There's nothing to save you, Tim.
I want to say we're still 3 weeks away from that series. Take me to that week. Oh my gosh, Tennessee, Vandy, and Knoxville. Gosh. I'm finding a way there.
I'm gonna try and go there.
Yeah, we should all, although we care about our safety, so maybe not. We'll see. We'll see.
To pull up, dude. Hey, all Vol fans. Do they even have seats in the outfield?
Yeah, they do in left field, but I think that's probably reserved. Like, could you imagine three fans decked out? Meet me
in left field, bozos.
Yeah, Trev, you might be in the hospital after.
No.
I got great insurance.
No, all jokes aside, big weekend here, Vanderbilt, Missouri, black and gold spring game. Hopefully Gordon Sargent makes the cut. Basketball transfer portal. We're keeping that program in our prayers with hopefully from Will's perspective that hoping and praying they find at least one guy.
Let's not say Will's perspective. Will's just trying to be uncharacteristically positive when in all reality he sees the negative route being the more likely path.
More accessible.
HMD tweeted us. He was like, I think it's like what his question was like.
Talk me off the ledge, yeah.
I'm sorry, brother. There's no talking off the ledge because I'm right there with you. I've been in a big Creed phase recently. I don't know why, but like that one song tour, he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, I'm on the ledge. He's like, but 6 feet doesn't seem so deep. And I'm like, bro, that's speaking to me right now about Vandy basketball. I'm 6 feet from the edge, and I'm thinking that's the song. Yep. Yeah, we're right on the ledge, brother. Don't look too deep.
Will, end it for me. I can't.
All right. You've been listening to the Door Report, I think.
Rhett, let's start with where this team is at right now. Before we got on here, I mentioned 3 straight SEC sweeps. It's never happened under Tim Corbin. And, I saw that stat and I was like, no way. Surely that has happened under Tim Corbin, but no. And, the starting 6-0 part, I mean, I'm sure 3 straight SEC sweeps have happened, but this start to an SEC slate and conference play has been unbelievable. It's never happened before. So how have they been able to do it from your perspective?
I mean, Billy, this is the most well-rounded team at Vanderbilt that I have seen in a very, very long time. Not only do they have the pieces, they have the tools, they have the talent, but they're actually putting it together and showing it, which is so rare. Usually you have the pieces and you have the talent, but it takes a while. You got to find the right formula. The team has to build chemistry. You have to find the right lineup. You got to find the right rotations. You got to find out who has what roles. And that takes 40, 50, sometimes even more games to really solidify that. But you look at what this team has done in a short amount of time. At the beginning of the year, they were okay. I mean, the first 2 weeks of the year, they were fine. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden something clicked. And now, hands down, they're the best team in the country, rolling people. I mean, stomping teams. And it's fun to watch.
It sure is. It's sure been fun to watch. And I think last time we talked, obviously SEC play hadn't started yet. We were previewing that trip to Arlington. And after that trip to Arlington, it was kind of okay. Nothing crazy, but also nothing horrible. You get out of that alive and you get a couple wins. And then you go in non-conference. We talked about, I think, one of their non-conference midweek losses but this team got into SEC play, Rhett, and just flipped a switch. I mean, does that tell you something about this group and how, I guess, how confident they are, the swagger level? I mean, that's what you guys had in 2014. So does that tell you about a little bit about this team that here's SEC play, Ole Miss coming to town, and boom, that flip has been switched?
Yeah, in regards to swag and toughness, these guys are pretty good. It's a younger team. There's not a ton of experience on the field, which is why when you get into SEC play, I'm like, wow. Usually you're relying on older guys to show you the way. But on this team, there aren't a lot of older guys that have SEC experience. Yes, you have RJ Schreck, who's absolutely killing it, but this is his first year in the SEC. You've got Carter Holton, who's looking, like an absolute ace. Now he has SEC experience, but and so does Futrell, and so does some of those back half bullpen guys. But in regards to pitching, you don't have a ton of guys that have a lot of SEC experience. When you go through that lineup, of course, you have Enrique Bradfield, who is my favorite player to watch in all of college baseball. He's got SEC experience, but as you go down that lineup, there not a lot of other guys do.
Right.
Some of their highest performing guys right now have never played in the SEC before. You look at Chris Maldonado, you look at RJ Schreck, you look at some of these guys, and then you have Davis Diaz, right, who has SEC experience but has never had SEC success, who's all of a sudden one of the biggest parts of the team, absolutely killing it on offense, but debatably his defense has been better than his offense, and he's hitting over 300. So it's just a combination of all that stuff. These guys are really putting it together, and they're so fun to watch.
Rhett, what happens? I mean, you talked about Davis Diaz there, and I'm sure you went through some rough patches there, right, when you started, at Vanderbilt and through SEC play, but you figured it out. You learned from those experiences, and it looks like Davis has really done that, and fairly quickly, because, we talk about that freshman to sophomore jump. We've seen a lot of Vanderbilt players make it, but it's not as easy as we make it out to be. So from your experiences making sort of that jump and those improvements, how tough can that be? Because Davis Diaz is a guy that has, it feels like he has done that and then some.
Yeah, it's extremely hard because as a freshman, Davis Diaz was thrown into the fire, and he played a ton as a freshman, had a really good start to the year, and then it just kind of it got him. And that's the SEC, right? But what he did, which some players can't do, is he said, okay, here are my problems. Here are my issues. This is what I need to get better at. He took a summer, and he took a fall, and he took an early spring, and just got better in every aspect of his game. And that's why so far, this is kind of funny, but he's my MVP on that team so far.
Yeah.
Because defensively, he has been lights out. I mean, absolute Gold Glove at third base. And he's hitting in the middle of the lineup where you have Enrique Bradfield in front of you. You have RJ Schreck behind you. That's a huge spot. You have to set the table. You have to manipulate the bat. You got to put the ball in play. You have to know when you're hitting, okay, Enrique's on base. Here are my holes. If I get a good pitch to hit and he gets a good jump, I have to be watching that. I need to take, right? So you have to be smart. You got to play good defense. You got to hit well. He's doing all of those things. He's been absolutely one of my favorite players to watch on this team so far.
I completely agree. I mean, I think he, in that 2 spot in this lineup, you've got to produce, and not saying you have to get up there and hit 330 or 340, but you've got to produce in that spot. Let's talk about Chris Maldonado. He's a kid that has come in here and just lit up this team. 382 batting average, 4 home runs, 17 RBIs. I mean, he's Nick Maldonado's brother, so a lot of us maybe aren't surprised, but the kid's a freshman. I mean, you talked about him and RJ Austin, and I think those 2 guys, Maldo and RJ Austin, have been just as important as a guy like Davis Diaz, who's more experienced. So it just feels like these younger players have really gelled well with the older guys in this roster. And Rhett, as you know, that's crucial. I mean, that has to happen, especially if you want to get to Omaha.
Yeah, and they don't look like freshmen. They look like seniors.
No.
And it's just their approach has been so above their age. They're swinging at balls in the zone. They're not missing their pitches. Now, of course, we know that over the course of a season, you're not always locked in. And if you are locked in the whole season, you hit 360 and you're you're a first team all SEC. So just for them to get in the lineup this early, face this kind of competition and show that they can do it is going to help them forever, because they'll always have the confidence of saying, I can play in this league, knowing that I've done it. Look here's my body of work. It's only been, a couple of weeks, but I can play here. And that is something that nobody can ever take from them. So not only am I so impressed with them, but it helps everybody else in the lineup. So when you have RJ Austin and Chris Maldonado, who are raking in the middle of that order, it helps RJ Schreck get good pitches to hit.
Protects him, yeah.
Yes, it gives him protection. When RJ Schreck has protection, it helps Davis Diaz. When Davis Diaz is swinging the bat well, it helps Enrique Bradfield. And then the faster you can get Enrique Bradfield up, the more games you're going to win. So those guys having success in the 5, 6, 7 hole, literally from 4 to 7, has a huge impact on 1, 2, 3. So then at the bottom of the lineup, you have Vastine, who at the beginning of the year was hitting 2-hole, who is a 2-hole hitter hitting in the 9-hole, right? You still have, and you have Parker Noland, who is leading the team in RBIs and hitting in the bottom of the order. Everywhere you go in that lineup, you can get hurt. And that's something that reminds me of the 2015 or 2019 teams, where you can't take a player off. You have to go at this Vanderbilt lineup, and it wears on pitchers. And we're seeing that when Vandy's putting up 10, 15, 20 runs in some of these games.
That's why it's hard to point out an X factor with this team right now. And, I say Davis Diaz, but a guy like RJ Schreck's hitting 346, 7 bombs, 31 RBIs. I mean, the transfer from Duke, who, I think I expected big things, but excuse me, I got this nasty cough, but I expected big things, but I don't know that I expected quite this good of a start from him. So from a guy who, you played under Corbin, you had to learn the expectations of Corbin and the expectations of this program. RJ Schreck had to learn those in who knows how long. I mean, 6 months. I mean, I don't, he transferred in from Duke as a grad transfer. So obviously he's an older kid. That probably helps. But for him, I mean, how impressive is that to you that he came in here just like that as a grad transfer and just boom, fit right in?
Not easy to do, because not only are you coming to a conference that, in my opinion, is better than the ACC, but you're coming into a culture you don't know. You're an older guy. You don't know any of these other guys, right? You have to come in here, and all of a sudden they're throwing you in the 3-hole. So not only is it all new to you, the culture, the league, the players, right? When you're an older guy in the SEC, you see the same guys over and over and over again. You have a level of comfortability. So if you play against Florida as a sophomore, as a junior, you're pretty much facing a lot of those same players. You know how they hit, you know how to play them on defense. You understand what their arm slots look like. You see them in the summer. You can see those players over and over. For RJ Schreck, he's coming into a new league. He's seeing guys for the first time, right? And he's hitting in the 3-hole behind an All-American hitting in the leadoff spot, right? And there's a lot of weight that gets put on you as a 3-hole hitter, because you're basically the premier guy in the lineup. Every single team is going to come into a game with a pitch plan on you. And he has taken that and taken it to the moon. Like you said, hitting 350 with 7 home runs. We're only, halfway through the season. So he just, if he keeps this up, he's going to, put himself in the record books.
Well, he's playing in Shrek's deck out there in right field. I mean, that's your people out there. So how would you grade his defense so far, Rhett?
His defense has been great. He's made some awesome plays. I think that overall, everyone's defense has been really, really good. I've been very genuinely pleasantly surprised with Matthew Polk in left field. He's been playing a Gold Glove left field. Of course, you have the best outfield defender in the country and who's ever played at Vanderbilt in center. So with RJ Schreck, that's really helpful, knowing you have unbelievable center fielder, because you don't have to cover as much ground. So RJ Schreck doesn't have to cover that gap as much, which allows him to cover more of the line. And he's made some great plays on the line over the past couple of weeks. He's made some great plays on the wall. And just knowing you have a superstar in center, it allows you to play with more confidence. So overall, I would say that RJ Schreck could not have had a better start to the season than he's had.
I know Connor Harrell is in center. Did he cover as much ground as Enrique? I know he was fast, but man, the ground Enrique has covered, it's you see a ball hit, it's like, no way he gets to that, and he makes it look easy. I mean, it's a piece of cake.
Yeah, I've played with some great center fielders. When you go through Connor Harrell, Brian Reynolds, I played with John Norwood, Jaron Kendall, guys who could move, guys who were really, really good out there. I don't think any of them were as good defensively as Enrique Bradfield. It's just, you don't get guys like that very often. I haven't seen guys like that who not only have really, really good instincts, really good first steps, explosive, fast, but also have a feeling for the wall. That's also something that goes very, very much under the radar, where you don't understand that unless you've played hundreds and thousands of innings in the outfield, like I have, and like a lot of other guys that I play with have, where when you see how he navigates around a wall, which is the hardest plays to make in the outfield, are plays up against the wall, on the wall. He's robbed more home runs than I've ever seen. And it's natural to him. Mm-hmm. So those are instinctual things that you can't always teach. And that's really, really rare to see.
Rhett, I want to get into, I know we talk about culture all the time. I love doing it with you because you have seen it at Vanderbilt and you've lived it. Last year, they had a couple guys enter the portal and leave the program, a guy like Christian Little, a guy like Carter Young, and obviously they had guys, leave for the draft. But do you recognize a sense of togetherness with this group? I mean, last year, we watched it, we talked about it, and we said there's just something missing. Now, they didn't have the experience and all the talent, I don't think, was quite there as Corbin is quite used to and fans are used to. But do you see that? I mean, I see a little bit more togetherness, a better cohesiveness with this group, as opposed to last year. You're kind of sitting around saying, man, what's missing? I mean, this team is talented, but I feel like something's missing.
Yeah. And sometimes with cultures, you have to make tough decisions. Sometimes you have to cut dead weight and you have to cut people who don't fit in the culture. And, when you look at Corbin and Baxter and the recruiting process that happens over there, you're having to commit guys at a really young age. You're having to commit guys that aren't fully grown adults. You don't know what you're going to get. It's like when you go to the store and you buy a puppy. You don't know what it's going to be like when it grows into a dog, a full-grown, adult dog. You don't know what its demeanor is going to be. You don't know how it's going to act under pressure. And it's the same thing when you're committing 8th graders, 9th graders. These guys are 13, 14, 15 years old. It's such a far cry from where they're going to be at 18, 19, 20, 21, where you're going to develop so much as a young man. So sometimes when you have to recruit 10 to 15 guys a year, you're going to get guys that don't fit your culture. You might think they are, but you don't know until you put them under pressure. You see what they can deal with. You see what they can't. And what happens, and it has always happened at Vanderbilt, and it will always happen at schools like Vanderbilt, where there is a extremely high standard of what is expected from you at all times. And that's a standard to live by. And that's a standard that when you're done playing baseball is going to make you successful off the field. But the reality is it comes with a lot of accountability and it comes with a lot of responsibility. And guys who come into that culture don't always have that or don't want to have that. And for those guys, it's better to go their own way. It's better to find a program that better fits them. And it weeds those guys out. So sometimes when you have a culture, you have to get rid of those guys in order to enrich the culture and make it better for everybody else. And I think that's what Vanderbilt did a great job of doing following last season. And you're really seeing those results now.
I saw a quote from Coach Corbin, and again, this is from a very good college head coach. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. It was from Next Level Baseball, and this good college coach said Corbin actually told all the guys from his roster last year that they should go in the portal if they wanted NIL money because they would never do it at Vandy. He pushed guys out, got rid of the selfish people, awesome stuff, but definitely a unique place in this he said, shit show we have now in college baseball and in the NIL age. Again, I don't have confirmation of that, but that was from Twitter from Next Level Baseball, a pretty reputable source. And part of me believes that, Rhett, from Coach Corbin and the tight ship and the program that he runs. Speak on that a little bit about the NIL age and where Vanderbilt fits in that. I think we've talked about it before, but for fans who haven't heard your stance on that and where Vanderbilt is in that, what would you say to that, and maybe some reaction to that quote?
Yeah, the NIL has, and transfer rules aside, we'll get there in a minute, but from an NIL standpoint, it's taken the innocence away from college athletics. It has created this system that is very similar to that of professional baseball, where schools can go out and buy players with cash. And, college athletics is great because there isn't that monetary involvement that is pulling people to different schools. Usually in the past, what has pulled kids to schools is culture. Literally, it's culture, it's fan base, it's the environments of some of these schools. Now it's all monetary. And it's, hey, we'll pay you this to do an ad for so-and-so's car wash. And we'll pay you this to do an ad for the dry cleaners down the street, right? And they're paying these kids hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases, where not only is it destroying the innocence of college baseball and college athletics as a whole, but it's also creating the ability to add rifts in the locker room. And let's call this what it is, right? I've been in a lot of locker rooms in my life professionally, where you have guys in the locker next to you that have signed for $400, $500 for a pro contract, and guys to my right and left that have signed for $5 million, $6 million. At that level, when you're in your early to mid 20s and late 20s, you can understand that. And that is something that you can play with because you're older, you're more mature. When you're in a college environment and you're on a meal plan and you are swiping and you're hungry and you're out of meal plans, but the guy next to you just signed a $400,000 NIL deal and he's buying cars and shoes and stupid stuff, that doesn't bode well for your team chemistry. It doesn't matter when you're older, but when you're 18, 17 years old, that's really hard to comprehend, and that can create a ton of animosity and jealousy inside of a locker room. So these guys, as you could argue that it's good for them because they're able to make money before they're pro, but from a cultural standpoint, from a team chemistry standpoint, it absolutely does not help at all.
And you've seen it in a bunch of situations. I mean, obviously LSU has done that. Many other programs have done that around the country. But Rhett, I think what you're getting at it in the culture part, I mean, we have seen it impact college athletics already. I mean, within locker rooms, and we know it's going on. So I just think it's interesting where Vanderbilt sits in that, and the Corbin perspective of, we're going to bring in guys that fit our culture, but we're also not going to go dive into the portal and grab 7-8 guys to try to bolster our roster. Number one, they've got the talent there. They've got the recruiting base and the young talent there. But you can also bring in a grad transfer like an RJ Schreck, but that feels like almost the extent of it. Like if a guy like Schreck fits perfectly in this program, Vanderbilt will go get him. But if you have a guy who may not fit, that's a pretty quick no from their coaching staff, just like on the recruiting trail. I mean, they go see a guy out, when it is high school in the middle of nowhere, and they see one thing from him in terms of a bad character trait, that's a quick no. So you see that, and I think I completely agree with where they are in the transfer portal, and especially in the NIL age, because in college baseball, NIL, I feel like it does ruin a little bit of that purity, because and especially college baseball. Now, basketball and football, I feel like that's more expected, but on the baseball side of things, man, I think that a lot of fans watch college baseball because of the purity and because of the, just kind of the swagger and just the drama that these players play with. So I think if NIL becomes a bigger part, that might hurt college baseball. I don't know if you would agree.
Well, in regards to the transfer portal, people don't understand the transfer portal is an illusion because it was so rich with players after the COVID, right? It's not going to be that rich anymore. Yeah. We're phasing out of that. And a lot of these teams that have put tons of emphasis on transfers, you're not building anything. You're getting guys for 1 year.
There's no value.
You're not actually building a team. So what happens to LSU after all these guys that they signed are gone, right? Who's behind them? Nobody's played. They haven't created anything behind those guys. And I use LSU as an example because they loved the portal this past year. But Tennessee, look at Tennessee. They stink. And they have used the portal a ton. There's nothing underneath those guys. You have to build your cultures because what the portal is going to turn into after all the richness is gone is a couple good guys a year. And you're going to have all these teams fighting over 6 players. It's not going to be 600. And of those 600, 200 of them are really good. It's not going to be that anymore. And these teams that have focused so heavily on that are going to realize, okay, well, it's a one and done. Now what do? We thought the transfer portal, we were going to get the best players every single year. It's not going to be like that. You're going to get guys who are misfits at other schools. You're going to get guys who lack toughness. And I didn't play every day. Wah, I'm transferring. Are those the guys you want on your team? If I'm coaching a major Division I team, I don't want those guys. I want guys that come in, that learn, that play a little bit, that learn my culture, that buy into what we're trying to do. They wait their time. And then when they're in there, they appreciate it. They play well. They've seen guys before them play, and they understand what it's like to work hard for something. So all these teams that are diving into the portal, diving in, and building their rosters around the portal are going to be in for a rude awakening over the next couple of years.
All right, Rhett, real quick, let's dive into the series this weekend. Of course, we're recording this on Thursday morning. Vanderbilt plays tonight against Missouri game 1, so this will be out Friday morning. So a game will have been played. But I want to ask you about playing in a colder environment and probably a windier environment in Columbia, Missouri. Thursday, Friday, Saturday series for a team like Vanderbilt. Would you say they fit that weather forecast or that mold of, okay, if it's cold, ball might not be flying out of the yard as much. Guys may not be as active or aggressive, on the field on defense. Does Vanderbilt's offense fit that to where they can play some small ball, they can run, they can get on base? Because it feels like offensively they can beat you in a few different ways.
Yeah, when it comes to cold weather, this Vanderbilt team might as well be a team from the Northeast. Everyone thinks that Nashville, Tennessee is like Florida. It's not. It's freezing. It's been beautiful here the past couple of weeks, which is kind of an anomaly for what it usually is like at the beginning of the season in February and March. So this Vanderbilt team, people don't understand. You're outside practicing and working and doing teamwork and training in November, December, and January, freezing, right? This team, they've been through it. It's not going to phase them at all. If anything, Corbin makes it a point to get out there on those days that are colder, where he knows nobody else is outside, just to get your mind ready for it, to get your mind in a place where you understand where you have to go when you're playing a game like this. I remember being outside and playing in some games at Vanderbilt and practicing on days when the football team would be working inside. And Corbin used to take pride in that. He used to love that. So I know where this Vanderbilt team is toughness wise. It doesn't matter if it's 25 degrees or 95 degrees. They're going to be out there putting a good product on the field.
I love it. Vanderbilt, Missouri this weekend. Thursday game has already been played, but Friday, 6:00, Saturday, 2:00. This would be their 4th straight SEC sweep. It's crazy, Rhett. It's we'll see if they can keep it rolling.
It sure is. And don't need a sweep, just need a series win. That's all it is. Don't want to get too greedy. Just got to win every series and win the weekend and win the week. That's all that really matters. It's just kind of a cherry on top to have all these sweeps. Pretty unbelievable.
Greedy. That's a buzzword with Vandy baseball people. I feel like we do get a little too greedy sometimes.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's all going in the right direction.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Rhett.
All right, Billy. We'll talk to you soon.